Hey everyone, I'm Andre. I'm a local realtor here in the Des Moines area, and I have toured hundreds of homes in central Iowa and the surrounding areas. I've seen just about everything from rock solid builds to, money pits in disguise. Today, I want to talk to you about six types of homes that you want to be real careful with when you're shopping for homes around the Des Moines area. None of these things are deal breakers, but they're the kind of things that can turn a dream home into a nightmare or a headache if you don't know what you're looking for. So let's jump right in. The first one is foundation or water issues. Here in Iowa, we have a clay soil. So with our thaw freeze cycle here in the winter, it freezes in the winter and the thaw in the summer with some of the wet summers that we have, that clay soil can hold water and create a lot of stress on a foundation. So it can bow or crack, or then you got water intrusion. So things to look for: of course, you're going to look for cracks in the walls of the foundation when you go into the basement. You're going to look for those stair stepper cracks. You're going to also want to just look out for the smells. Maybe it's mildewy smell in the basement. I don't have a great sense of smell, so if I'm walking through there with you, I'll probably mention that if I see any evidence of water intrusion. In some cases, we've got wet basements that are not a problem. They have been like that for years. I just sold an old house where we had a heavy rain, water came in and it just drained right out, and it did not cause any problems in the foundation. It hasn't for a long time. So you're going to want to look out for those kind of things. And if you see any of those issues, then hopefully we can see it. And if you're interested in the home, we'll get a foundation specialist to take a look before you make the offer. If it might not be a big deal, but it also could mean thousands of dollars of repairs in the future. So definitely something you want to look out for. The next one is homes with soil or grading issues. That ties right into the foundation, and it causes stress in the foundation. So you're going to want to it deserves its own category because here in Iowa, where we've got that clay soil that I talked about, some of these areas are really flat and they hold water, and some of them are hilly, and you got to worry about the drainage. There's a whole lot of houses that I look at, that I see with on hills that have drains in the backyard. So you got to look for in those drainage areas, is there a privacy fence that could block a bunch of leaves and then cause a real big problem and not drain properly? Most of the HOAs are going to look out for that kind of thing, but if they don't have a solid HOA, then you're going to have to look out for it. So take a look. Even a hurricane fence might not let through the water if the debris like leaves get caught in the fence. Things to look out for: erosion next to fence lines, soggy areas, kind of wet near the deck. Lawns that drain towards you or graded towards you. You gotta look out for that kind of thing. I haven't seen it very often, but also driveways that drain right into the garage. I did actually sell a house just like that. It didn't cause a big problem, so we went ahead and bought it. And especially it doesn't happen very often with these new construction homes, but in the older homes, you're going to want to take a look at that. It definitely could be an issue. So, and also want to mention, they could build it right, grade it right, and everything, and then the landscaper come in, do the landscaping, and now it's wrong. So that's an easy fix, but you want to look out for it. Next one is townhomes or shared wall properties. Look, they can be very attractive, very affordable, and you just got to go into it with your eyes wide open. So the obvious thing that you're going to look at or pay attention to is your shared wall. Is the neighbor noisy? Do you share a wall, bedroom to bedroom, or is it just like garage to garage or something like that? A lot of people don't pay attention to that. I've seen some great designs where most of the shared wall is on a wall that you're not going to really hear your neighbor. So that's an issue that you want to look out for. Shared walls are, you're sharing electricity sometimes. Sometimes you actually sharing electricity bills. So if your neighbor or is not really taking care the way that he should, then it could affect you seriously. Also, you want to look at who is going to take care of the roof. You're sharing a roof, and who's going to take care of the siding. You're going to be sharing the siding too. In case there's hail damage to the roof or the siding, is there an HOA? Are they responsible? You're going to want to look out for that kind of thing. Um, just if you're going into an HOA or a townhome, like I said, go in with your eyes wide open, ask the right questions, and I'll help you with all that. The next one is homes with weak or underfunded HOAs. This one catches a lot of people by surprise. In new neighborhoods, sometimes the HOAs are not formed yet, and there is no HOA, and then there will be one in the future. So you want to ask the questions about who is going to be taking care of the HOA, and are they well funded? Are they an established business, or is it just a new HOA? You're going to want to know, if there is an HOA and has been for a little while, you're going to want to know what their budget is and what their budget report is. Ask them for the report. If they can't produce it, that's a red flag. You're going to want to look out for assessments. Do they have any assessments? How often do they have assessments, and what are they? And is there one coming up? You don't want to jump into a situation where there's an assessment coming up and there's a big cost that either the HOA is not well funded and they can't afford it, and then you're going to be stuck with the bill paying extra HOA fees for that. Do they take care of the lawn? Do they take care of the roads? Is it funded well enough to do that? Ask the neighbors, talk to the neighbors about the HOA. They're going to know whether or not the lawn care and the snow removal has been good and effective. And you don't want an HOA that's all, that is too busy and worried about silly things, but you want one that takes care of what they need to take care of. So that your home can keep its value. You want the neighborhood to look good. If they're taking care of lawn and snow removal, you want them to do it properly, and they need to be well funded to do that. So you're going to need to look into that. Next one is overpriced or poorly done flips. We've seen a lot of that here in the Des Moines area recently. There's a lot of flips and they look great, new fresh paint, great countertop, great stone countertops, new floors, and it looks really nice and shiny and brand new. What you got to look out for is if they've done some really big repairs. Did they pull the permits properly? Who did the work? Was it a licensed contractor, or was it just a handyman? Maybe somebody buying a house that's a handyman and not a licensed contractor. You got to ask the right questions. You got to make sure the flip was done correctly. HVAC, plumbing, electrical. You're going to want to look out for those things. Make sure that, a licensed contractor or someone licensed electrician did the work. Cosmetic things are not really that big a deal. A handyman that did it right can look good and it's nice and solid. But, structural foundation type things where you're breaking down walls and rebuilding them, changing room sizes, that kind of thing, you're going to want to make sure that was done properly. The permits were pulled properly, and just don't let the beautiful, new paint, bright lights, and stone countertops fool you. And you need to look beneath that and make sure that the structure of the home is really nice and done properly with a licensed contractor, or or just done right. It takes skill and it takes permits and it takes doing the work right when you're doing structural issues. Next one is homes in poor location or near infrastructure. Look, you can fix a home if it's got a physical issue, but you can't fix the location. So, a lot of the homes that I've seen recently, they build in these new construction homes, and not all the new construction homes, just homes near water towers in the Des Moines area. So, maybe that doesn't bother you. Maybe it's on the front of the house and you're not going to sit on the front porch and it doesn't bother you. But think about resale. When you sell your house, maybe the buyers are probably not going to like, the water tower of the front view as your house. Same thing with road noise. Maybe it doesn't bother you. I live in a house where when I sit on the back porch, I can hear the road. It doesn't bother me at all and I'm not selling my house, this is going to be the last one. But for me, I've gotten used to it. But you're going to also want to visit the home at different times of day. Maybe we see it on a bright sunny day at noon, and you're going to want to visit that house at 5 o'clock. During the rush hour, 8 a.m. in the morning, possibly. Is it hard to get in and out of the neighborhood? You're going to want to consider that. Is it near a farm? I love farms. I love the view. I love the wide open spaces. It is, which side is it? Is it the predominant wind north, and are they what are they using for fertilizer? That can be a bad smell, possibly. Just you want to think about those things and go into the house with your eyes wide open and be looking for issues like that. Electrical power stations, if that's nearby. I had a lady one time really concerned about that, and we had to call and make sure that they weren't um, emitting like a radioactive type thing. And anyway, it wasn't very close, and they weren't emitting any radioactive radio waves, and it didn't cause a problem. She ended up buying the house. But you want to think about that kind of stuff, because especially for resale, there are other people who are concerned about water towers, infrastructure, noise, and smells, and things like that. So take that into consideration. There you go. Those are 6 types of homes that you want to be real careful about if you're buying right here in the Des Moines area. You just want to go into it with your eyes open. So the key is knowing which questions to ask and knowing what to look for before you sign anything. If you're looking in the Des Moines area, maybe you want somebody to walk through the homes with you and point out all these red flags. My name is Andre. I'm a local realtor here in the Des Moines area, and I've seen hundreds of homes. So I can help you find the one that fits you and your lifestyle right without the surprises. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.